pour one out for our good friends at Google Stadia. What up, viewers? What up? What up? Calc Soups here, and today is Friday, September 30th, the end of the month, and that means it's time for a quick recap of the week in video game news. The first thing I wanted to talk about this week was the new Last of Us trailer for the HBO TV show. I thought it was pretty awesome. I'm very much looking forward to the Last of Us series. I like both Bella Ramsey and Pedro Pascal, the Mandalorian. So very much looking forward to seeing them on the screen. I liked the kind of morally gray feeling that I got with it, and I'm hoping they maintain that in the TV show, because I think that's kind of I think that's a key factor to kind of the Last of Us series, is just kind of this moral ambiguity and truth and rightness is in the eye of the beholder. So yeah, I'm really hoping that things get a little dodgy and there's a lot of controversy on should they have gone this way or that, or what would we do in that situation. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing more in the Last of Us trailer. I did think the trailer took a while to name off all the people that are working on it. I know this is the first trailer, so we have to shout out to Neil Druckmann and the studio devs and all that kind of stuff. But I thought it was a little bit too much at the beginning. Like a minute of the 2-minute trailer was all name shout outs for name recognition. But maybe I'm just a jaded old man. Anyway, yeah, I'm really looking forward to The Last of Us on HBO. So hoping to check that out soon. Moving right along, I got a reminder this week that one of my favorite games and a GOTY contender, a Game of the Year contender from 2019, the sequel is coming out soon. A Plague Tale Requiem launches on October 18th. So we got a story trailer this week kind of breaking down what Amicia and Hugo will be doing and where they will be going. And I'm very much looking forward to it. Yeah, I love this game. I'm really excited for it. It'll definitely be one of the best games that I play in October. And I hope that it can kind of carry on the really cool tradition that we got in A Plague Tale Innocence. So yeah, I'm very much looking forward to this. I'll be playing it episodically later this month. Big news, or I guess little news, depending on your point of view. Grounded, Honey, I Shrunk the Video Game. Grounded got its 1.0 launch. It has been in early access for a couple years now. I think it's been 2 years or so. I haven't played it since it first went into early access, so I know that they've been slowly adding content over time. But now I'm excited to kind of jump back into it now that it is 1.0. So me and my friends are already talking about putting a server together and playing through that. You know how much of a fan we are of kind of the survival genre, base building genre, so very much looking forward to that. It's currently sitting at an 83 Metacritic, so maybe if you've already played it, you might have already gotten a sense of it, but I'm really looking forward to all the different areas we can go, all the different monsters we can fight. Apparently there's really in-depth boss fights that you can do now, so I'm very much looking forward to it. But I know that maybe a low 80s Metacritic isn't going to attract the masses, but I'm very much looking forward to friends, because we enjoy the crap out of collecting resources and building up bases and taking on our own little roles. So I'm looking forward to that. And pretty unprecedented move, not unheard of, but just very much unprecedented. Scorn, the horror shooter, is moving forward a week. They were set to launch on October 21st, and now will launch on October 14th. So moving it up a week. Not the only game to do that this year, and not the only game in October to do this year. Gotham Knights also moved forward a couple days as well. So I think everything is, and we'll talk a little bit more about game delays in a second. But everything's kind of moving out of November to get away from Call of Duty, to get away from God of War. Some of those big elephants, 2,000-pound gorillas in the room. So yeah, I think everybody's trying to give them space, and Scorn moves up a week. So I'm pretty excited to see that. I've kind of got it in my head that it is Flesh Shock, kind of I got a BioShock feeling, really immersive but shooter, and trying to get all that down, and just the fleshy horrorness of it. the H.R. Geiger influences. I'm really looking forward to it. Wasn't a big fan of like Aliens. I mean, I like the aesthetic of Aliens, but yeah, I'm really looking forward to kind of getting some spooky games in. And Scorn is definitely on that list. So looking forward to that. Like I said in the cold open, we can all pour one out for Stadia. We can add another half-baked and ill-supported good idea to the pile. The Google graveyard. As I don't know if someone's already thought of that, but I'm gonna TM that right now, as I thought of it while I was writing up the preempt for this. But yeah, add Stadia to the Google graveyard. It officially closes in the middle of January of next year. They are offering refunds, which is something that not a lot of console or hardware developers ever do when things don't pan out. So I'm debating whether or not I will actually apply for a refund. I mean, I think I did buy it from the Google Store directly, which is the caveat that you get for the Stadia. But you know, I thought it was a good idea. I know that there was problems along the way. It was first announced at GDC, which is probably not where you want to do a big announce. And the main crux of what they were announcing at GDC, or what they were looking to get out of GDC, was to get developers to bring them on board. And you don't want to be announcing and asking for developers kind of at the same time. So that was already a pretty big red flag. And the idea of people giving up their consoles to kind of stream, like the infrastructure wasn't there yet. And Google is far and away not the top of the food chain as far as like peripherals to get your streaming devices. So there's a lot of things wrong with it. There wasn't content, especially exclusive content for it. So yeah, I just think there was a lot of mismanagement going on at Google Stadia. But I ultimately thought it was a pretty good idea. But Google, in their half-baked attempt to try and curve the market, this one gets tossed back onto the pile. So I bet someone's going to figure it out. If Google was Google was kind of the last hope to figure it out. I still think maybe Amazon Luna has some legs. But yeah, I think this is kind of a death knell for kind of these streaming exclusive gaming platforms, or at least for now. I think we still need a lot of infrastructure. We still need a better model. Like Google's just pay in. Like I'm still confused about like the different tiers of how you paid into Google Stadia. So yeah, it was all a little confusing. And if someone's going to try it again, they need to be more forthwith with what they're getting. And yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on Stadia. Let me know what you think down below in the comments. The ESA and Reed Pop, who's helping with E3 next year, had some details on what's happening with E3 next year. So they're taking a page out of Gamescom's book. They will have developer exclusive days and developer exclusive areas, as well as consumer days and consumer areas. So I think a lot of people have been asking for this for quite some time, especially as ESA or E3 has tried to get bigger and bigger and include more consumers into the funnel. So I know that insiders in the games industry have kind of wanted exclusive areas for them, just so they can do business deals and not have to get lost in the crowd sometimes. So yeah, I think this is ultimately a good idea. I know that there's a lot of heat between Summer Game Fest and E3, Summer Game Fest being a week before. What are they going to do? How much stuff is going to be at E3? People have been saying E3's been dead for a few years now, so I'm excited for it. I enjoy going to E3, catching up with some of my developer friends and seeing all my industry friends. This is the kind of one time a year that I get to see all of them. So I'm excited for it, and I hope that more people are going to be at E3 next year, and I'll be able to hang out with them on developer exclusive days in developer exclusive areas. I'm excited about that. Cyberpunk has been fully injected back into the zeitgeist, like I said last week, based on the kind of the success of the Netflix anime Edge Runners, kind of bringing more people into the funnel. They had 1 million players on Steam last week, and now they've crossed 20 million sales, not 200 million. They're not GTA 5. About 20 million sales, so now they're in the upper echelons. It's a pretty big benchmark for any game to hit. I bet that's like top 5% of all video games. So yeah, Cyberpunk is now up there, if it wasn't already, with I think they launched at 10 million units. But they had to return 2 million of them, so doesn't really count. Anyway, I digress. But yeah, I'm excited to see Cyberpunk back into the collective gaming zeitgeist. And I have still seen there's glitches in the game, but with a game that massive, I'm going to expect some of that to happen. But it's actually making me want to scratch the itch of jump back in and maybe do a second playthrough. So you might see that on my Twitch stream sometime soon. Going back to the idea of game delays, Sea of Thieves Forever, or Ubisoft's, oh no, what did I call it? I called it Black Flag Forever, kind of like a Black Flag, Assassin's Creed Black Flag plus Duke Nukem Forever, which never came out or was very long to come out. I should have called it Half-Life 3. Anyway, references aside, Skull and Bones has been delayed another 4 months. This is, I think, one of its handful of delays so far. I did think that it launching on November 8th was a little curious, considering, I mean, it kind of announced its launch date, I think, before God of War Ragnarok, but God of War Ragnarok the day after was, like I said, definitely going to take out all the air in the room. So I think it's ultimately good for the game, but it is kind of laughable and memeable that they've been delayed, I think, a handful of times. So we'll get this at least Q1 of next year, but yep, it's been delayed from November 8th to March 9th. So hopefully I have time in March, considering everything else that's been delayed this year. Hopefully I have time in March to pick this up, because I am kind of curious how this will work out. And if I can get more friends to play it, then I could get to play Sea of Thieves, which I think we still need to return to. But I digress. Seems like every peripheral company is chomping at the bit to try and get into the kind of handheld streaming console game. So Razer has now joined the fray. They announced this week, they didn't have a showcase or anything like that, but they did announce that they are working on a 5G cloud gaming handheld device. So they're kind of following in Logitech's footsteps, who is following in Steam's footsteps, to try and get kind of a game streaming device into the hands of consumers. Ultimately, I think it's a good market. And like I said last week when I talked about Logitech, competition is always better for the consumer. So, and I know that a lot of people have been a little bit anxious about buying a Steam Deck, considering its high cost. So hopefully Razer can get that cost down. We saw Logitech coming in at $350, below the Steam Deck's $400. So hopefully Razer can be in that area, or maybe even be a little bit more competitive. Yeah, excited to see. I do love most things that Razer does. I've got a bunch of Razer peripherals, so I like their content. I like what they make. But I already have a Steam Deck, so I'm wondering if there will be a need for this, other than outside of the Steam Deck that I already have. Probably not, but I'm still looking forward to maybe picking that up or seeing it at a gaming convention. Saw a pretty cool game this week. It's touting the destructible terrain. Everything's destructible, and a lot of games have touted that for quite some time. But the game is called The Finals, and it's a first-person shooter. It kind of reminded me, it had to look and feel kind of like Apex Legends to me. But in the 3-minute trailer that we saw, which was all pre-alpha, they showed a lot of destructible terrain. They showed like buildings collapsing onto people. You're trying to look like a golden box to like this other box so that you can get more coins and win the game, I guess. But it is a first-person shooter. And like I said, a lot of games like Crackdown 3 have kind of touted this destructible terrain. I think the one that was based on like Spec Ops Mars or something like that was supposed to be like everything's destructible. So this has been kind of touted before. Nothing's really kind of ever delivered on the promise. So we've got another one trying to, and we'll see if they're able to deliver on it. The problem I usually have with destructible terrain in first-person shooters is if you're spending your time shooting at walls or trying to bring things down, maybe you have a lot more explosives than you would normally would in a first-person shooter. But if you're shooting walls to like bring them down, to like bring down a whole building, like you're giving away your position. I don't know. Maybe I feel like my shooter should be a little bit more tactical. But like shooting through walls always kind of like, couldn't you just go around the? Yeah, I have some problems with destructible terrain in my first-person shooters, but that's just me, and I digress. But feel free to check out the finals pre-alpha footage that I'll have down below in the description. Last but not least, fantasy first-person shooters are few and far between. As a very classic Hexen fan, which was like Doom, but you're playing like a wizard and you've got spells and you're casting them, but you're running around and side strafing and you know, endless bullet running kind of stuff that you remember from Hexen back in the day. I believe Hexen was a id Software game. But we got another Hexen-like that was that we got to see this week. It was called Wizardem. It was a little brighter than Hexen. Hexen kind of had that dark, grim dark, everything's kind of gray and brown kind of look to it. But Wizardem was a little bit brighter, probably more reminiscent of we have higher quality pixels and we can do better things with our sprites nowadays. But yeah, I thought it was a really cool game, and as an old school Hexen fan, I was quite a fan of this game, and I didn't realize how big of a hole Hexen had left in my life that hopefully Wizardem can fill. So looking forward to that. That's all for this week. If you feel I forgot anything, feel free to leave a comment down below. But as always, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this content. If you do, please follow, like, and subscribe to me on YouTube and Twitch so you can see more great content like this. I'll have links down below in the description. Thanks again. I hope you have a super day. I hope you have a super weekend. And I hope you have a super day. Bye!